My name is Jordan, here with SANDCRAFT Motorsports for another DIY installation. Today, we're going to be installing limit straps on a Can-Am Maverick X3. Let's get started. For this installation, you will have to be able to lift the wheels off of the ground, but you don't have to remove the wheels. First step is to remove the lower shock mounting hardware and replace it with the supplied hardware in your kit. We're going to install 4-line spacer, then the washer, then the all-metal lock nut. And we're just going to put it on the bolt for later strap installment. Now we're going to install the hanger assembly up top by removing the existing sway bar hardware and replacing it with the supplied hardware in your kit. The bolts are long enough to drop all the way through the factory sway bar brackets. And now we'll move to the passenger side and repeat the process. Remove the lower shock mounting hardware. We're just going to put the spacer, washer, and metal lock nut for later strap installment. Once you've installed and tightened the hanger assembly up top with the supplied hardware in your kit, we can lower the vehicle. So in the limit strap kit, we have our hanging clevis, which actually make contact in the middle so that your front limit straps have two different size heims. It is only right side up. Now we're ready to install the limit strap on the driver's side. I like to start by tightening up the hanging heim jam nut, which is a 15/16 with the heim looking down at the lower shock mount. Then we can hang our limit strap assembly through the heim and pull it down to the lower shock mount bolt over the 4-line spacer, then the limit strap 10mm tab, then the washer, then the all-metal lock nut. You can tighten the lock nut at this time, then move up to the top and set your limit strap length and tighten the 2 jam nuts on either side of the hanging heim.
The beauty of our SANDCRAFT front limit straps is the 3.5 inches of adjustability of the clevis for different droop angles and geometry of aftermarket control arms or quick adjustments of preload to the suspension.
We'll move to the passenger side and repeat the process. Then we're going to raise the vehicle so that the tires are about 1 inch off of the ground, but we do not have to remove the rear wheels. So moving on to the rear section, to remove the factory hardware from the lower shock mount. Then we remove the coolant reservoir cover to gain access to the upper shock mount. Depending on the year vehicle you're working on and possible aftermarket accessories, you might have a cage that is bolted to the flange welded to the frame. If that's the case, I find it best to flip the bolt going upwards to allow more room for the limit strap hardware. Next, we use the replacement hardware in your kit while lifting up on the shock lightly to slide in the new hardware in its place. We're going to move back to the bottom and install the bolt with washer through limit strap with 3-line spacer and through the lower shock mount with another washer and all-metal lock nut and leave loose for the time being, and then repeat the process to the passenger side. Now that we have both upper and lower shock mounting bolts in place, we can lower the vehicle to compress the suspension, and that'll allow us to bring the limit strap up and hang the upper tab, and then put a washer and lock nut on to hold it in place. Once you have your limit strap tabs in position, you can tighten both upper and lower bolts, and then repeat on the other side of the vehicle. Once all your hardware is tight, now you can reinstall your coolant bottle cover securely and lower the vehicle. Now it's a good time to go back and double check your work. Make sure you don't have any steering or wheel interference. Make sure you follow us on social media and enjoy the ride.